Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you're doing good. Today is 18th December. Let's have a positive start. It's better to be a lion for a day than a sheep all your life. And that's right as well. Whatever we do, if we don't do it with confidence and if we don't do it with courage, then you'll not feel that artistic touch in your result. With this, our pen drive and tablet courses, which are designed by best faculties of our country, are available at flat 60% discount. You can find out more information about it on StudyIQ.com. If you want to check out demo lectures, they are available. If you have any question or queries, we are available. You can feel free and give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. Now, dear friends, let me remind you that 25th December, that is Christmas Day, is the last day for this 60% off. So don't wait for Christmas Day. Obviously, our lines are going to be very busy. So make the most out of it today itself. With this, today is Tuesday, so we have many important articles to go through. This one is about COP24, very interesting article. Shadow of 1984 riots, right prescription oxytocin. This one is about nota. You can ignore this one if you want, because this article, I have gone through this article. It's talking about numbers, right? It's talking about how much nota was used in Chhattisgarh earlier on and how much it is used now. All I want you guys to pay attention at, which is not mentioned in this article, but I'm sure you are aware about nota, how it works, what it is all about, what are the changes that we need in nota or this overall election reforms that are required and things like that. So pay attention to all those things. This article, bottom line, I can give you gist of this article, and the gist is that usage of nota is falling down. That's it. Now, we're making every citizen an auditor. Why we need this system, why we need social auditing. Social auditing has many benefits. We are going to talk about it in detail, and our main focus is going to be on loopholes that we find with social auditing, or why it is not working and what are the things that we can do to change the situation. Now, dear friends, before moving ahead, I would like to rectify an error that was conducted from my side. Yesterday, by mistake, by misunderstanding, I said that Bangladesh was number one in terms of, when it comes to a country that is source of remittance. So Bangladesh is not number one. Apart from that, all those things that we have talked about remittance is right. So keep that thing in mind. It's not that you find errors all the time with our discussion. Hardly, if you are listening it for a very long period of time, then you can vouch for me, you can support me, what I'm saying. If correct me if I'm wrong, it's been more than 5-6 months. So the reason is I pay highest attention, as well as I make sure that quality is never compromised. So here the word behind that is highlighted on your screen, that is from this article. So this Bangladesh was reported to be among the highest source of remittances to India, behind all these countries, UAE, US, Saudi Arabia. So when we find Bangladesh as one of the leading, or you can say big source of remittance for our country, so this also indicates right, that we have considerable amount of population living in Bangladesh. At the same time, they are doing it very well over there, or they are making money over there in Bangladesh, because look at all these other countries, UAE, US, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UK, and see the difference that we have in this conversion ratio, this currency conversion. Their currency is, highly valued, and ours is not valued in comparison to this currency. So that's everything regarding it. Again, I do apologize. Now let's go through this article about this COP24 meeting that took place in Poland. Now, on your screen, you can see this girl here. Her name is Greta Thunberg. She is 15-year-old activist from Sweden. And look at her statement here. Until you start focusing on what needs to be done rather than what is politically possible, there is no hope. That's what Greta has said, and she is right as well. Now, the thing is, we know very well, this side effects or this impacts of climate change. We are seeing floods and so many other things, destruction in crops, and many times we find heavy snowfall. Many times we find heat waves going on. So all these things, natural catastrophe is already going on, and we are facing it already, and it's very bad. Now we have talked about the Paris Agreement as well many a times in last few weeks, so I'm not going into the details again. I beg your pardon for that. If you are new, then I will recommend you guys to go through our previous lectures. That will give you a good idea, because it will be very boring for me as well as for the listeners, regular listeners, me to repeat things again and again. So Paris 2015, we came out with NDCs. When I say we, I'm talking about the world. And then we've it's not that easy too, because Mr. Trump, when he came in as president of USA, the first thing he did was to take out USA, or to declare that USA is going to step out of this Paris Agreement. So that was a big shock for the whole world. And now what we find is that at least one thing that is good with this COP24 is that a single rule book for all countries has been produced. So this was the main aim, right? The main aim of COP24, this meeting, was to produce a rule book, but it was not that easy. The reason is that even today, when we look at this attitude of developed nations, like you look at here, USA, Saudi Arabia, Russia, all these countries, right? They are not happy with, they are not ready to share the money. They are not ready to share that technology. They are ready to share technology, but not for free, right? What they want is they want to make money out of it. And when this, India was not happy with this thing. Now the thing with, when I say not happy with this thing, I'm talking about this reluctance of this developed nations to transfer money as well as technology. Now Africa was, as a continent, of course, and there are many African countries. So Africa group of nations were present during this meeting, of course, and it was them who said that now they are going to leave this meeting because things were quite biased. This developed countries, like on words as well, this various different countries were not on the same page, so they were arguing, and we saw many times choke holes and things like that. So finally we have got this rule book out, so that's a good news. But we have, this meeting has also unmasked all those countries, like there are democratic countries like Australia, then you have Switzerland, Japan, European Union. They consented with USA on equity, right? So this thing was wiped out from the text, so that's a bad thing. USA, of course, Mr. Trump's administration is totally against this. They don't like this Paris Agreement. Then as well, they were present over there. They are going to leave this thing formally by 2020. But then as well, they were, you can say, furiously arguing that we need to do this and that. And they were trying to be bossy, if I'm not wrong. And it was this African group of nations there. They had enough, and they said that now they are going to leave this meeting. And after that, we saw some sort of action taking place. So what we need is, we need transparency. We need to keep an eye on everyone, right? We cannot just trust countries, because we know that there are countries out there, they are, they have this tendency to violate things. And it's sad as well that countries like Japan, countries like Australia, Switzerland, other countries, right, we have already seen the attitude of Australian prime minister and other ministers, right? This resource minister and other ministers were not happy with the kids, small kids, doing protest in Australia. And this thing has been noted in this article, that corporations, companies like Shell, this Shell company is, as we know, that it's in this business of oil and petroleum hydrocarbons, and corporations have had a significant role to play in the drafting of the text in climate agreements. So these companies are lobbying, they are funding the scientists and politicians so that they can get what they want. So again, this is a very bad thing. All right, we cannot allow our profits, we cannot allow our greed to sabotage this COP24 or this climate agreement. Now, if solutions within the system are so impossible to find, maybe we should change the system itself. Has been said by, again, it's coming from this girl called Greta. So you know the right thing. We all know what we need to do. We need to look after our environment, but still we find countries, these big countries, these developed countries, they are not happy to share the money. They are not happy to share technology. They are not happy to help. What they want, even today they want to make money, and one of the reason is that these countries, right, they are directly, indirectly puppets of corporations. All right, that's a dark reality of today's world. The shadow of 1984, anti-Sikh riots of 1984, and on your screen you can see a person. His name is Sajjan Kumar. Now this Sajjan Kumar, he was a member of parliament. Just imagine, this person was representing people, and we know that after the death of assassination of Indira Gandhi ji, this anti-Sikh riot took place in various different parts of our country, particularly in the northern part of our country, and we find so many people died. Some 341 people were killed. A large-scale damage to property in Rajnagar in Delhi took place. Just in this area we are talking about. And Sajjan Kumar was present as per a lady called Jagdish Kaur. She has been termed by Delhi High Court as a fearless and truthful witness. Now, the thing is, court has also noted that it's not just, and what we get from this whole, now first of all let me tell you that this MP Sajjan Kumar has been sent behind the bars for life by Delhi High Court. Now court has noted this thing, that Delhi police as well as this riot cell had failed to carry out a genuine investigation. Investigation was totally favored, or it was tilted towards in favor of this Sajjan Kumar. Sajjan Kumar, don't underestimate this 73-year-old person, right? He was, at one time, he was a strong man. He was a very strong person. When I say strong, I mean to say that there is this famous incident that CBI personnel went there to arrest him, and in fact he abducted all of them, right? He had these people working for him, and this CBI staff was not released. A few people who went there to arrest him, they were not released till he got anticipatory bail. So you can imagine how you can say muscular this person is. Muscular not in literal sense, in terms of political powers and money power and other things that this person is having. So he was there, and his name was there in various different you can say complaints as well, but nothing happened, right? Nothing happened to him. So because there was no genuine investigation. So this case is a pure case, right? It indicates it's not just about slowness in our judicial process, but it also indicates derailed investigations, and that's a matter of concern. It is only after CBI that started taking interest, or CBI got this responsibility to investigate this whole case in 2005, and he was acquitted in trial court, but CBI objected this thing, and now finally Delhi High Court has sent him behind the bar for his life. Now, of course, he can go and knock doors of Supreme Court, but the way things, or the evidence that this High Court used to punish this person, they are strong enough, and it looks like it's not going to be, even if he knocks the doors of Supreme Court, it's not going to be that easy for him. The only sad thing is it took 34 years to conviction. 34 years. So that's a sad thing. That's the only sad portion that we find in this whole thing. But at the end of the day, we can at least say this thing, that judicial decision such as this reinforce the hope that political patronage, administrative complicity, and plain muscle power cannot prevail over the truth all the time. Moving on to next item, right prescription. It is about oxytocin. Now, Delhi High Court quashed a government ban on retail sale and private manufacture of oxytocin. This was again in news, remember? And oxytocin misuse was one of the main reasons that was cited by government. Government said that oxytocin is misused by this dairy cattle and these people engaged in milk production, this dairy business in fruits and or horticulture, fruits and vegetables. So they are misusing it. They are misusing this chemical called oxytocin. So government has banned this thing. Government of India banned this thing, and only this Karnataka Antibiotics and Pharmaceuticals Limited was authorized to produce oxytocin in our country, and retail sale was banned. So now, first thing that we have to understand is that why oxytocin is important. Oxytocin is a life-saving drug used to stem postpartum bleeding among new mothers. So postpartum is associated with post-delivery, and after that you have this bleeding issue, and many times means this thing happens that your hormones will go under, you can say, a radical change will take place. So this thing can lead to some sort of complications in the body of a new mother, and this oxytocin plays a very important role. As you can see that it has worked as a life-saving drug. Every year in our country, what we find is that 45,000 women die from postpartum complications in our country every year, and in 38% of the cases the reason is hemorrhaging. So here, oxytocin plays a very important role, and World Health Organization has recommended it. Our health ministry has termed it as an essential medicine, but then as well, the government of India decided to ban it. And it's quite strange because Drug Technical Advisory Board had advised against a ban. This board said that this is going to be catastrophic for new mothers, but then as well, government went ahead with this thing. So the question is, there are a couple of questions that we need to ask. On what basis did the government overhaul the advice of multiple statutory bodies? What led to its acceptance of sporadic reports of the drugs misuse without clinging proof? So that's the thing. Now we need to find out. We need an inquiry on this thing, because we cannot play around with the lives of new mothers as well as young girls, right? So that's not acceptable. We need a proper inquiry on this thing. Now, making every citizen an auditor. 29th Accounts General Conference took place, and our President Ramnath Kovindji was present during this 29th Accounts General Conference, and he was not just present over there. He said that a good auditor is a good listener. You will not only see the accounts in their books, but also listen to their accounts. Making social audit an integral and robust part of the formal audit process is something that we have been trying for a bit of long time, but we have not got that success with the social audit. Now, social audits are important because now you have more eyeballs looking at the things that you are doing. The social audit helps, it involves people, it encourages people's participation, so people will be there in planning and execution and monitoring. And if we have more eyeballs, if we have more people, looking after, say for example, let's imagine that a dam or a small road sort of thing is constructed in your village, and if you have this active social auditing, then people will keep an eye on everything. People will be there in planning during this planning level, during execution level, in monitoring as well, repairing and other things, and they will go through the books, they will go through material that is used. So this will create a sort of awareness as well. Now, social audits were first introduced or mandated by law in 2005 under the MG Narega, and you'd be wondering why then MG Narega has not been that successful, because there are a few flaws that we find in our country when it comes to social auditing. Following a sustained push for Rural Development Ministry, the CAG and civil society organizations, social audit units have been established in 26 states, and these social audit units in 26 states are still not, I would say that they are not perfect. There are so many loopholes here. Like, first of all, this a governing body of most of SOUs are not independent. They are under high influence of state government. They have to obtain this SAUs. They have to obtain permission every time before they implement. If they want to spend some funds, then they have to take permission from this implementation agency. So it will take ages here. So this is a big problem. The second problem is more than half of the states have not followed the open process specified in the standards for the appointment of SAU directors. So again, politicians are appointing directors, and the result will be tilted in favor of political party or the ruling party. Some states have conducted very few audits and few have not conducted any at all. So this indicates lack of culture or awareness about social audit or benefits of social audits, and several do not have adequate staff to cover all the panchayats even once a year. For the period 2016-17 and 2017-18 till November, only 13 SAUs registered grievances or detected irregularities. These have identified a significant misappropriation amount of 281 crore rupees, and adequate disciplinary action against people responsible for irregularities has also not been taken. So these are the things, right? All things are weakening our social audit culture or social audit thing. In 2017, Supreme Court particularly said that when it comes to National Food Security Act, we need social audit, but it has not kicked off due to lack of funds. The other reason is we don't have independent governing body. So the need of the hour is to have independent governing body. We need proper adequate staff when it comes to our social auditing units, real-time management information system. So if we have done something, if we have audited something, then this data should be there. It should be available on real-time basis, and this should be accessible by all. As I told you, the more eyeballs we have, the better it is for any project, for any village, for the development of nation, as well as grassroots level development. And CAG, that is Controller and Auditor General of India, they have this professional expertise. They have been doing this thing for a very long period of time now. So they have this expertise, what auditing is all about and how it should be done, and they have best practices and they know many things. So what they can do is they can actively form a partnership with social auditing units, and they can train our young lot, they can train our people so that once they are trained, once they know what to do and what not to do and how to do things, this will create a sort of urge in them to ask for social auditing, and we'll find a culture, and this is how. So CAG can play a very important role when it comes to auditing. Now let's move on to latest news items. The first one is about Delhi offers 1.4 billion aid package to Male, that is Maldives. And Maldives is facing debt of 3.2 billion with China, and our 1.4 billion aid package is going to be a good thing. It's going to be a big financial boost for Male, and relationship are back on track now, right? They were derailed. It was very bad between Mr. Modi, or the situation was not that good between the government of Mr. Modi and government of Mr. Yamin, but new President Mr. Soli is a gem of a person. He is with us, right? He's pro-India, and that's good for Indian ocean security as well as our security too. Madras High Court bans online sale of drugs. It has said that these drugs as well as cosmetics could not be sold online until Centre notified the Drugs and Cosmetic Amendment Rules 2018. Pakistan to free one Indian person, right? A man from Mumbai. He will be released today, so that's a big news for the family of this person. 2 students die, 3 hurt as school wall collapses in Noida. Why this wall collapsed? That's a question, and why no one paid attention? Because we don't have social audits. If we would have this social audit, then things would have been a bit different. Congress chief ministers take oath in 3 states, and Supreme Court seeks explanation from Rajasthan government on this person called Sampulal Raigar. Sampulal Raigar is the murderer who killed an old Muslim man, and He's behind the bars, but then as well he was using mobile phone, internet, and he was uploading pictures and things like that, hate speeches and videos and things like that. So Supreme Court seeks explanation from Rajasthan government that how can a person who is behind the bar can use mobile phones. IAF, a plane takes to the air on blended biofuel, so that's a good news. In near future we may see that all our planes, may it be our commercial planes or these fighter planes, right, they will be flying on blended biofuel, so that will reduce our imports. At the same time it will reduce our costs as well. ISRO phones for fishermen in Tamil Nadu. Chief Minister has launched the distribution of satellite phones to fishermen involved in deep sea fishing in a bid to assist in their navigation while in high seas. And Navik, it is designed, this phone is designed with a receiver of Navik, and 200 of them have been delivered to the state government. I'm not optimistic on UNSC reform, has been said by President of United Nations General Assembly, Maria Espinosa. She has said that this big means she's not blaming any particular country, but we know the reality that this P5, that is permanent 5 countries, they will never create a space. When I say never, I mean to say for next 5-10 years it looks like they will not give up this extraordinary power that they have in their hand. And vocabs in front of your screen, going through your yesterday's French Guyana response. I will reckon you guys to go through Hindi version's response or this comment as well, answers. And today's question is Ecuador, right? Tell me something about Ecuador, some most important items of Ecuador, and step by step we are going to go through all the countries of South America, then we'll move on to next continent. I'm not saying which continent, but we will move on to next continent. Now on your screen you can see a picture. This is today's picture. This is a picture of 2014 or 2015, right? This picture is not that old, but the thing is, you can see it is destroyed. So it was destroyed by ISIS. It's a very famous mosque. The name is very famous. I can give you a couple of hints, right? It is in Iraq, and the place where this mosque is located, or the city, has a connection with our country, India. It has to do with something with a cloth. That cloth was so much famous in this particular city at that point of time. I'm talking about what, 1,000 years ago. This cloth was so much famous in this, or more than that time, right? In ancient time we are talking about. It was so famous that the city got its name, or not city, but this cloth got its name from this city. So that's a pick-based question for you guys. This is your answer of yesterday's question. New question for you guys. You can download the PDF of today's lecture, and then you can go through this question. Please make sure you share this lecture with other students. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Jai Hind.